Welcome to Realistically Random. So, the lawyers from the YSL Young Thug Rico trial, of course, have been busy. Of course, has been still lawyering. And Young Thug's lawyer, he had two lawyers, Keith Adams and Brian Steele. Brian Steele, of course, has been busy. He is supposed to, or he is representing the DA who decided not to press charges for the Ahmaud Arbery killing, the two guys that killed that well three guys were convicted because one of them chased them with the car and kind of like blocked them in, and the other ones kind of like were like on foot like chasing him, and he was subsequently shot in the chest and he died. In a new body cam video that was released. I don't know if it was released back then, but Ahmaud Arbery was still breathing. He was still breathing. They did not render aid, but I'm not even going to get into that whole thing because they all three men were found guilty. But the DA, it was a father, the son, and then it was a neighbor. So the father, after his son shot Ahmaud Arbery, called this DA and was asking her for help. Okay, she was I, we got to get into it because we got to read how this whole thing started. So that's one of the things Brian Steele was covering. I'm sure it's a plethora of things, but I'm just talking about the things that I found. And there was a Georgia lawyer who was in a road rage incident in 2019. He was convicted of killing this person in 2022, I'm sorry, in 2022, but it was overturned on appeal. Okay. And Steele is representing that lawyer in his retrial. He was granted bond in July. Let's get into it. Let's Judge grants Schmidt bond ahead of retrial in death of Sandy Springs man. So this was July of this year. That's the attorney. Brian Keith Schmidt was freed on $500,000 bond on July 28th as he awaits a retrial in the death of Hamid in the driveway of his Sandy Springs home in 2019. The Marietta attorney's malice murder conviction was overturned because the trial court erred in denying the defendant's request to instruct the jury of his defense that the death was an accident. The Fulton County, of course, Fulton County, Sheriff's Office inmate search website reported that Schmidt was released on Sunday, which include 2 counts of felony murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault. And he was issued a bond. Wow. That's wild. Fulton County Judge Melanie Lethbridge, and remember, this is the judge that's going to be overseeing Diamante Kendrick's hearing in February, granted Schmidt's request to be released on bond until the retrial, the AJC reported. She set the bond at $500,000. Schmidt must wear an ankle monitor, surrender his passport to his attorney, may not operate motor vehicles, must stay in Fulton County, and must stay at home between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. Now, the person that he killed, his family argued against Schmidt's release on bond, the AJC reported. Schmidt appealed his malice murder conviction in the September 2022 death. Okay. What's the person's first name? Because I don't want to mess it up. Oh gosh, what's the man's name? Okay. Let's see. Schmidt appealed his malice murder conviction in the September 2022 death of Jahangard, who died after being struck by Schmidt's car. The Georgia Supreme Court ruled on April 30th in agreement with his argument that the trial court erred by denying his request to instruct the jury on the defense of accident on all counts, Rough Draft reported. We conclude that the trial court erred because at least slight evidence supported that charge. Because the state has not carried its burden to show that it is highly probable that this error did not contribute to the verdict, we reverse Schmidt's conviction, the Supreme Court said in its opinion on Tuesday. Schmidt was accused of purposely driving his car into Jahangard's after a confrontation. He claimed it was an accident. Sure. In April, the Fulton County District Attorney's Office said that they would retry the case as soon as possible. However, the AJC reported that the Atlanta attorney Brian Steele joined Schmidt's legal team. That could delay the retrial, as Steele said his representation of Atlanta rapper Young Thug makes it likely he won't be available for trial before spring 2025. Now, that's true. That's what it was going to be until Thug took the plea. Okay, so that's it. So, so that's what I found on X. Um, Brian Steele has joined the defense team for Brian Schmidt, a corporate attorney who had his 2022 murder conviction overturned by Georgia Supreme Court. Schmidt is requesting bond. So he got bond. The family of Hamid Jahangard, the man Schmidt killed with his car in 2019, has concerns that Steele's involvement. Yeah, because they don't have a date. They don't have a date. Hmm, they don't have a date for the retrial. So I'm sure the family is anxious to get that underway. I mean, they're waiting for justice on their slain family member. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. So it says, shattered our family. Lori accused of killing man in road rage, hit and run, granted bond. So we just read that. Let's see. Sandy Springs, Georgia. Brian Schmidt, a Metro Atlanta attorney whose murder conviction was recently overturned, is preparing to reunite with his family as he faces a second trial. Schmidt was previously found guilty of running over Hamid Jahangard in a 2019 incident labeled as a deadly road rage case by prosecutors. Schmidt testified in his own defense at the trial, claiming that he never meant to hit Jahangard with his Mercedes. Hmm. Surveillance video showed Jahangard talking on the phone and bouncing a golf ball, which eventually hit Schmidt's car and sparked the initial argument, which escalated. In 2022, a jury convicted Schmidt, and that's him right here, of murder. But in April, the Georgia Supreme Court reversed the conviction, citing a mistake by the judge in jury instructions. Okay, let's see. Thursday marked Schmidt's first return to Fulton County Court since his conviction. The judge granted Schmidt bond, set a $500,000 with several conditions. Schmidt is expected to be released by the end of the next week. Channel 2's Michael Sidon was in the courtroom as Jahangar's family members begged the judge to keep him behind bars. I said, he's a liar, he's a killer, and these are undeniable facts. Jahangar's daughter, Sahar Jahangar, said, this loss has shattered our family beyond any word I can tell you. I stand before you today to oppose a bond, his sister Roya Jahangar said. Sad. He would never hurt anyone on purpose, Bertina said. Daniel Gelderman called Schmidt a model citizen and a model soldier. It's unclear when the new trial will begin. Wow. Let's see. The surveillance camera. Okay, that's still loading. I would love to. Oh, there was a video. Okay, the video is not loading. But this is the man he hit with his Mercedes. Right here in the corner. It's very sad. And he was 60 years old. It's very sad. Okay, see if we can play this video. That's the man he hit. Okay, no. Okay, well, that's Hamid when he lost his life due to road rage. And Brian Steele is going to be representing um, the lawyer who hit him in his retrial. We don't know the date of that, and I think that's federal, so that won't be recorded. So, yeah. Okay, let's see. I found a little bit more on that story. Trying to see if I can find the surveillance. Let's see. Schmidt's perspective. The fatal incident occurred during the evening of July 30th in the driveway of a rental property owned by Jahangard in an Atlanta suburb of Sandy Springs, authorities said. Jahangard was waiting for painters to arrive. In a statement included in the police reports, Schmidt, a Sandy Springs resident, told officers he was driving home around 5:15 p.m. and saw a man standing by the side of the road next to trash cans. He made a throwing motion with his arm, and I saw a white object strike my car, Schmidt told detectives. Schmidt said he made a U-turn and drove up to the man. I rolled down my window to ask why he'd throw something at my car. He yelled at me to expletive. It's none of your business, Schmidt said. When I attempted to pull into the driveway, he pushed a trash can at me. I swerved to I swerved to right to miss it and ended up hitting a second trash can. When I came to stop, he was lying on the other side of the first trash can. Hmm. Investigated Investigating officers found a golf ball across the street from where Jahangard was struck. Let's see. Victim was on the phone with his brother. A review of footage from a neighbor's home security system showed Jahangard walking down the driveway and standing at the bottom near the garbage cans. A detective wrote in a supplemental report to the criminal complaint. Schmidt drove by, braked, backed up, and remained stationary for about 25 seconds before making a left turn and accelerating. Wow. You cannot see impact, the detective wrote. Victor Hamid Jahangard is slammed to the ground. Head bounces twice off pavement and his body is rotating. Ooh, the detective wrote. You can now also see a golf ball slowly roll down the driveway and roll into the flower garden, the detective wrote. Service vehicle came upon the scene as it was happening, and police were able to review surveillance footage captured from the vehicle. That footage did not match the account that Schmidt gave to authorities, of course. Police report said the speed used to vault the garbage can, lift the front end of his car up, and to slam the victim down so hard it caused a massive skull fracture. Wow. Where blood is squirting out his ears seconds after impact is not an accident. They definitely downplayed this. Jahangard's brother, Monitor Jahangard, told police they were talking on the phone when the crash happened. Monitor, Ma, Man, Manacher Jahangard said he heard his brother say, I did not throw anything. I did not throw anything. Get out of my face before the line went dead. Another supplemental report says, wow, a doctor said Jahangard arrived at the hospital with a massive skull fracture, swelling on his brain, and multiple leg fractures, according to the court file. That wasn't an accident. Jahangard, native of Iran, graduated from Walton. After a magistrate issued warrants, Schmidt turned himself into police August 12th. Whoa. Wow, wow, wow. Now that's something. That is literally wow. Yeah, so that's pretty crazy. So, yeah, so that's who Brian Steele is going to represent during the retrial. Now, the next one is the DA in regards of the Ahmaud Arbery trial. Okay, so Young Thug's attorney, Brian Steele, will represent former DA accused of interfering in the Ahmaud Arbery investigation. There's Brian Steele, it's the ex-DA. And that was on the Jasmine brand. So that's the former DA who interfered in Ahmaud Arbery's murder investigation. Nobody here wakes up every day on a concrete floor that they're calling his bed. Oh, definitely. Okay, so let's get to it now. However, Steele has moved on and will now be representing a new client. This client is former Georgia District Attorney, Georgia, and y'all want to move down there so bad. Jackie Johnson, who's accused of interfering in the investigation of Ahmaud Arbery's murder. Arbery was a 25-year-old black man who was fatally shot after being followed by three white men while jogging. The three men were later convicted of murder as well as federal hate crimes. Johnson's trial for alleged criminal misconduct is scheduled to begin in early 2025, according to the Associated Press. Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. That's going to be very interesting. I want to find the article where it says that the father called her 19 times, and I believe she got someone else to help him. But they were saying just the fact that he called her 19 times is just it's an issue. Okay, so this gets a little bit more into it. Let's see. Brunswick, Georgia. A former Georgia district attorney charged with illegally interfering with police investigating the 2020 killing of Ahmaud Arbery, made her first court appearance Wednesday, more than 3 years after being indicted by a grand jury. That's a long time. Jackie Johnson spent a decade as the state's top prosecutor for the Coastal Brunswick Judicial Circuit. She came to court Wednesday as a defendant, charged with violating her oath of office and hindering police as they investigated Arbery's death. The 25-year-old black man was fatally shot on February 23, 2020, as he ran from armed white men in a pickup truck who wrongly suspected Arbery was a thief. Greg McMichael, who initiated the deadly chase, was a retired investigator for Johnson's office. His son, Travis McMichael killed Arbery with a shotgun. Prosecutors for State Attorney General Chris Carr's office say Johnson used her position to protect Greg McMichael and to urge police not to arrest Travis McMichael. Johnson has denied wrongdoing and said she immediately recused her office from handling the case. Regardless, she was voted out of office months later amid outrage over Arbery's killing. Good. In September 2021, a grand jury indicted her on a felony count of violating her oath of office and a misdemeanor count of hindering a police officer. Good. During a pretrial hearing on Wednesday, lead defense attorney Brian Steele said he plans to present evidence during Johnson's trial next month that she was focused on seeking a high-profile indictment against a police chief when Arbery was killed. I don't know, Brian. He didn't know what was going on with Ahmaud Arbery's case, Steele said. Prosecutors have said in court filings there were 16 calls, or 16, okay, between phone number for Johnson and Greg McMichael in the days and weeks after the shooting. Greg McMichael left Johnson a voice message the day Arbery was killed. Senior Judge John R. Turner has scheduled jury selection for Johnson's trial to start January 21st. Attorneys on both sides told the judge Wednesday they expect the case to take about 2.5 weeks. I think because of this sensitivity of the case and the notoriety of the case, it may take longer, attorney said. Both McMichaels were convicted of murder and federal hate crimes in Arbery's death. So was William Roddy Bryan, a neighbor who joined the fatal chase and recorded graphic cell phone video of the shooting. All three were charged after Bryan's video leaked online, and the Georgia Bureau investigation took over the case from local police. Each is serving a life prison sentence. Johnson's case sat dormant while Steele spent nearly 2 years in an Atlanta courtroom defending Grammy Award rapper Young Thug in a sprawling racketeering and gang case. After Johnson was charged in 2021, she reported to jail for booking and was released without having to post bond. Her attorneys waived a formal reading of the charges in court. When Johnson entered the courtroom Wednesday, her former chief assistant prosecutor and a former court clerk sat in the gallery with her family. Turner heard legal motions from both sides seeking to limit what information the jury is allowed to hear. Prosecutors want Johnson's past electoral success and high-profile prosecutions declared off limits. Johnson's lawyer want other cases in which she called for an outside prosecutor kept out of her trial. First, the judge will all have to decide whether to let Carr's office try the case. Steele has asked Turner to disqualify the Republican Attorney General from prosecuting Johnson. He says the indictment accuses Johnson of withholding information from Carr's office in 2020 when she suggested it appoint George Barnhill, a neighboring jurisdiction's prosecutor, to handle Arbery's killing. Carr has said he appointed Barnhill to take over the case without knowing that Johnson days earlier had already called on him to advise police. Barnhill told police he saw no grounds for arrest as he believed Arbery was shot in self-defense. Self-defense? Based off of what? Steele said the indictment's wording makes Carr's office a victim in the case and its employees key witnesses. I don't believe it is within the law to allow a prosecutor or any lawyer to be a witness, a material witness in a case that they are trying, Steele said. There was no immediate ruling from the judge. Prosecutor John Fowler said people in the Attorney General's office who dealt directly with Johnson Arbery's case no longer work there. Fowler accused Steele of trying to steer Johnson's case into a gray legal limbo where no one would prosecute her. They're trying to get this case into a place where it cannot move forward, Fowler said. This is going to be interesting. So what, January 21st? So what was that, the other article I read? Yeah, so January 21st. But is this federal? If this is federal, no, this is not federal. So this should be aired. This should be recorded. That is going to be interesting. So this is what Steele has been doing. This is what he's going to be doing. And, he's a defense attorney. So, he can't stop working. So, got to respect his job, even if you don't like his clients. So we shall see. Yeah, we shall see where it goes. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.